The time has come to give the floor to Sergio Scornavacca, Director Industrial Market and Northern Italy Lead Minsight, together with Matteo Bianchini, Digital Officer of Design Holding, and Matteo Margini, Design Holding Group E-Commerce Director. Welcome. Good morning, everybody. Well, if there is a sentence that was often repeated to me in the last year, is that digital and e-commerce has known a very significant growth and experienced a very significant growth. I'm dealing with these topics for 20 years and I will share with you my point of view. Let's start with the remark. There is a positive aspect or a non-negative aspect of the crisis. So e-commerce has changed, has had a paradigm shift. In particular, this E, which was really statical, is no longer there. So it was now we have everywhere, everything. It stands for everywhere. So it's something that involves us, that absorbs us in a magic way. 2021 is a year based on phygital changes, physical, online, thanks to technologies. But why is that a turning point? We have already said that people have changed their lifestyles and also the types of people starting working in this sector, design, etc. Then we also have competitiveness and collaborative models. We are speaking together, so the delivering company and the customer, this is a collaboration, well, internally, both internally and externally. In the last 2 years, we saw that no digital project can be a non-collaborative project. Optimization and automation, that is to say technology, but I would like to focus on the idea of integration. An e-commerce project is a front-end project. This is at least the opinion of many people, but in fact the complexity lies behind that, the operation, logistics, as the previous speaker said, the management of the warehouse, production, manufacturing, the different needs of a company in terms of production sites and distribution sites. Well, last but not least, I would give up this traditional concept. We are a little bit fed up of that. I mean, this is something that is more linked to our human and sustainable multi-experience from the environmental, social and financial point of view. This is vital when it comes to facing a digital project. But the previous speakers talked about evolution of digital, but I talk about revolution, something, well, a disruption in a way, something that can have an impact on the omnichannel experience, not just in terms of turnover, but in terms of company strategies. I have been working for Intra and for the business unit, inside the business unit. We are talking about 50,000 people in the world and 3,000 people in Italy. We are lucky enough to work with a lot of fashion companies, retail companies and design companies. We have divided our world into 3 categories, well, pre-COVID and during the reopening, and we saw some of the channels. The pre-COVID lockdown and progressive reopening, the physical, the retail channel was at 50%, and now it stabilized with a value that is less than the previous one. The digital channel is not just the e-commerce, but also digital in-store, mobile sector, and whatever enables digitalization in a company. These experienced a peak, a very high value, and then now it is stable. And the value is quite interesting. But please also bear in mind that we also have the voice and video channel. This will be particularly developed in the future because we don't just have the opportunity to ask for something in a company, but you can also have a virtual assistant at home and you can ask him something. For example, well, this relationship will be more and more important. So we have this customer intimacy. And this is something we are bringing forward, something we believe in, together with Design Holding as well. Our commerce initiative, we have the privilege to have to set up this initiative, and we have some important drivers and lessons we learned. Company side, an e-commerce project is first and foremost an integration project, and this is something which is really dear to me, and I would like to emphasize that because this is really complex. From the point of view of the customer, the project must be a true phygital project, an omnichannel project. 98% of our customers switch between devices within the same day. Then we have a voice and video channel. Already talked about that. 64% of our customers expect a real-time assistant, not just when it comes to bringing back a product. And then we also have hyper-personalization and customization, whatever enables a change also during the product development. Why not? We talked about consumers to manufacturers. It means when I have a relationship with my final customer, I can understand something ahead, for example, during the production, the manufacturing phase. But when I have to understand what the drivers are on a digital project, I would like to leave the floor to Matteo Bianchini, who is the Design Holding, the CDO of Design Holding. Thank you, Sergio. Let's start with three important concepts. This is something that is really crucial for the digital transformation, but they are quite cross-cutting also in other sectors when it comes to digital transformation. And the design world is facing that in a slightly different way. But this also enables us to learn new lessons. Consistency, first of all. What does it mean? It means that we do have systems that interact with each other. This is a picture that I had to change, to modify a little bit, to edit because for privacy reasons. And this is the interconnection between our companies. We have Floss and many other companies within Design Holding. This is the easiest representation. Maybe you have the feeling it is quite complex, and it is indeed. Well, just try to figure out so many companies together that are so complex, such as this one. And we need to have systems that work together. This is the first challenge we have to address. And the infrastructure enables also the success in the omnichannel and the e-commerce channel. And second aspect, data. Sometimes we say we have lack of data or they are not enough, but indeed they are quite a lot, but they are not available when it comes to making conscious decisions. Well, these are real examples, and this is a part of our data dictionary. So if data don't speak with each other, we will never be able to make conscious decisions.
Okay.
And we created a common language of data inside our company and inside individual companies. So, of course, each company has their data, but we have created a common language so these data can interact. What is this for? This is aimed at making data actionable, which is transforming data into actions. This is only possible if data are granular enough, because sometimes you get carried away by the euphoria of data. And indeed, what you really need to do is having data which are fit for the decisions you're about to make, and then you have to act on this data. So if these systems interact with each other and have a common language, they serve a common final objective, which, especially for our luxury brands, must be a kind of holy grail, which leads to experience. Experience gives an added value which our clients, especially high-end clients, expect from us. Experience means different things. A functioning infrastructure, accessible and actionable data are not enough to create a personalization of experience, a tailor-made experience, which does not mean that we decide how the consumer should speak with us. It is up to the customer to decide how they want to speak with us. For example, we have targets here: B2C, B2B2C, B2B, the contract parts, brands' website, and so on. We should not make a priori decisions about their interaction with us. We must offer them flexibility on different ways to communicate with us. And we should offer them an experience which is fit for our brands, but also meets their expectations. And this must allow not only a personalized experience on the digital channel, but also a blended experience between physical and digital. This is our market study which we carried out with all our brands in Copenhagen, and we put together all the opportunities of interacting with us together, and we offered the opportunity to touch our products with your hands, because as Sergio was saying, the phygital part is key to offer an added value to our consumers and create a synergies between the digital and the physical space of our brands. And then the next step is up to the consumer, and I would like to give the floor to Matteo Margini, the Group E-commerce Director of Design Holding. Thank you, Matteo, first of all, and I would like to talk about how the pandemic has brought about a significant change in our industry, and I would like to show you some charts that with our agency Sandbox and with the Google tools, we were able to create and share with you today. This is the result of a piece of research which shows the trends of searches on search engines such as Google and compares 2020 and 2019. So on the horizontal axis, you can see the timing, and you can see that during 2020, the change which occurred in terms of volume of searches was incredible, because we're talking about an exponential growth trend. And searches are always a signal of interest towards something. For example, home decor in a market such as the UK market. And we see this data, and you can see what has happened year on year. If we talk about made in Italy furniture in the United States, we can see a growth trend in the last quarter, in the last 3 years. We can see that we can see what happened, because these searches are the result of a spontaneous interest, and they determine the granularity in terms of data and interest, which is really unprecedented. But what are people specifically looking for? They're looking for sources of inspiration, which are basically undergoing an increase year on year, and now we can see that people are looking for small furniture or small objects which may change the environment surrounding people. And the first takeaway lesson that we've learned during the pandemics is that lockdowns have led to a greater emphasis and connections to our homes and the places where we live and work, because we had the opportunity to spend a lot of time in our homes and see how we can improve our homes and the environment we spend a lot of our time in. What are the sources of inspiration for consumers? Of course, offline. For example, physical stores are certainly a main source of inspiration, and then magazines, TV shows, magazines, and so on and so forth. But there's a change which is occurring also from the point of view of inspiring media. Media as a source of inspiration is extremely important because, for example, YouTube is among the main sources of inspiration. This means that we should change the way we produce assets, because we've always produced static assets. But today, we should produce, for example, video assets, which are more immersive and allow people to imagine how a certain element can change our environment. The last piece of data I would like to provide today is extremely interesting, in my opinion, because 60% of people today still need to see with their own eyes, touch with their own hands a piece of furniture. But this means that 40% of people probably is ready to buy something without touching it. And Mr. Del Vecchio said something which is very interesting. I come from the world of fashion, and 10 years ago I curated many projects, and investors used to ask me, do you really think that somebody will buy clothes without trying them on first? Well, I think the market has already answered this question. So I would like to end my speech with 3 main takeaway lessons. So the first one is that the visual offline is important, but is becoming less important, less essential. The personalization and hyper-personalization is key for this kind of product because it enables the perception of the added value by the consumer. And try and hire digital staff for your company, because the human capital, not the technology, will allow things to change. And we would like to leave you with a sentence that is very important for us. A good project does not stem from the ambition to leave a sign, but from the will to start an exchange.